Okay, welcome back. So now we're going to go ahead and build a model from scratch. And remember from the first video that we're trying to determine the capacity or the number of patients that we can accommodate based on three different possible constraints. One is the number of surgeries our doctors, our surgeons can accommodate in any given day. The second one is the number of surgeries we can accommodate within our operating rooms. And then the third one is the number of patients that we can accommodate while they recover in our hospital. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put together the label of our first constraint, which is the surgical staff. Okay, and just, there we go. I'm going to go ahead and share a screen. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and put in the label of surgical staff. Okay, so I'm going to move this so I can see what I'm sharing. Okay, surgical staff. And I'm just going to call that surgeons. Okay. And let's go through kind of the mental exercise of how we might think about how many surgeries the surgeons can possibly accommodate in any given day. So let's think about any form of labor, right? So let's say we have a shift, right? So length of shift, okay? And so this is how long they're working, right? And then if we divide that by the average length, length of a surgery, okay? And if you want to put in a divide sign, it would be insert symbol, and you can find special, cancel equation here. And I'll just copy that and paste it, Control V to paste. Okay. I know that's kind of ugly, but okay. Okay. Divided by the average length of a surgery. So let's just say, I'm going to type in here, let's say they have an 8-hour shift and the average length of a surgery is 1. Okay. Then presumably equals, right, the max number of surgeries per doctor per day. And this is assuming, right, that the doctor is only performing surgeries, right, during their shift, during their entire 8-hour shift, right? So if we do this, right, an 8-hour shift divided by an hour per surgery, right, then presumably they can do 8 surgeries a day. That assumes no lunch, right? That assumes no breaks, and that assumes that they don't even do clinic duty, right? So we remember from the case that some of those doctors, they only perform surgery in the AM and then they don't perform surgery in the PM, right? So you can play around with this 8 depending on what assumptions you want to make. So let's say you are forecasting that on average, half of the doctors go and do clinic duty afterwards, right? So maybe this goes down to 5 hours a day, right? Because maybe one of those hours they go and eat lunch, right? And take their breaks. And then maybe for 2 of those hours, they go and do clinic duty. So 8 minus 1 hour of break and lunch minus 2 hours of clinic duties leaves 5 hours of just straight surgery, right? So maybe you assume 5 hours on the length of the shift, right? So I'm going to go ahead and make these blue because they're assumptions. And I'm going to go ahead and make this red since it's a calculation. Okay. So if this is the maximum number of surgeries per doctor per day, like, that our doctors are doing 5 surgeries per day, right? We want to multiply it by number of doctors. And I do believe from the case, we have about 9. Now, you have to ask yourself, what about the surgical assistants, right? Are they actually performing surgeries, or is it really up to the primary surgeon and not, a surgical assistant, right? Equals max number of surgeries per day equals if each of these 9 doctors can do 5 surgeries a day, that means at the most we can perform 45 surgeries a day. Okay. I'm going to make this blue. Okay. Now, if we multiply that number of days of surgery days per week, okay, and right now their number of surgery days is 5, equals max number of surgeries per week. Surgeries per week. If we can do 45 a day and we perform surgeries 5 days a week, at the most we can do this many surgeries. Okay, and this is going to be blue and this will be red. Okay, and I'm going to get rid of these grid lines because they're driving me nuts. Okay, so I'm going to just do a little bit of formatting here, black, and then make this white. Okay. Now, if we wanted to truly measure capacity, right, what we would go ahead and say is we're going to be a slave driver, and our surgeons, for their entire 8-hour shift, they don't get lunch, they don't get breaks. We have them for 8 hours, and for all 8 hours, they're just going to do surgeries. None of this clinic duty stuff, right? None of this evaluation of incoming patient stuff. So for all 8 hours, all they're going to do is perform surgery. So each surgeon can do 8 surgeries max per day. If we have 9 doctors, that means a maximum of 72 surgeries per day. Now, this is just policy right now that we're conducting surgeries on weekdays only. Let's say there are 7 days in a week, right? So maximally, conceptually, if we got rid of all the rules that we put into place, right? We got rid of all of our labor laws, which dictate like the length of, surgical shifts, right? If we got rid of all labor laws, right, they can do surgeries for 8 hours. If we did away with that, like surgeries only on weekdays, we can do up to 504 surgeries with our existing doctoral staff, right? So this is what we mean by kind of maximal capacity. At the most, how much capacity to do surgeries do our surgeons have? So that'll be the like 504, right? Okay. So I'll just say at max. Okay. And then what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to create another version. I'm going to paste. So max, and then I'm just going to say now. Okay. Now, let's say it's about 4.5 hours. So I'm going to say that 8 hours, they get half an hour for lunch. They get 2 15-minute breaks, right? And then they do clinic duty, let's say for 3 hours. Okay. So now on the average surgeon is doing 4 hours of surgery, and they're doing 5 days a week. Okay. So maximally, the maximum capacity on our surgeons is 504 surgeries per week. Okay. Right now, with the policies that we have in place, the maximal number of surgeries that we can perform in a week, if surgeons were the bottleneck, is 180 surgeries. Okay. So that's how we come to the surgical staff capacity. In the next video, we will come back and we will conduct the same type of analysis, only this time if our operating rooms were the capacity constraint.